Hey guys, Jared from Parker Mountain Machine. Today we're doing the installation video on our brand new Gen 2 P365 JTTC micro comp. So what we have laid out here in front of us is the complete kit for your PMM P365 Gen 2 micro comp. The kit includes one barrel and Gen 2 compensator, a Mushi mounting block, an alignment rod machined out of Delrin, a vial of the Loctite Red, as well as 2,000 shims, quantity of 1, 5,000 shims, quantity of 2, and a 10,000 shim, quantity of 4. Now that you have your PMM P365 Gen 2 barrel and comp, or comp and barrel, out of the package, the first thing that we need to do is what we refer to here at the shop as a dry run. So we're checking for fitment and we're looking for an ideal timing situation prior to using the Loctite Red and finalizing the installation. So with your barrel and your slide, you're going to take the barrel, insert it into the slide. First thing that we need to do is thread the compensator on, and we want to see where it stacks up in relation to the 12 o'clock position. With using hand tightening right now, you can see that this is overclocked past the spring box. Ideally, what we're looking for is a position somewhere between here and here, utilizing any combination of the shims that are supplied with your kit. In general, with this P365 Gen 2 comp, in most of our experiences with the way that we machine these barrels, we found that 1 10,000 shim should suffice. Now I say in general this should suffice because there are slight variances from slide to slide. So that might dictate you needing to use a 10 and a 5, or a 10 and a 2, or a 5 and a 2. Whatever combination, it doesn't really make a difference. Once you've got the dry run, the initial dry run to see where the clocking sets up, it's important to take your Delrin rod, and you'll notice that it has a step on it. You insert the stepped portion into the barrel as so. With any of your shims, and I would suggest that you start with a 10,000ths, with the Delrin rod pushed into the barrel and seated properly, you then take your 10,000th shim and slide it down. Now this is a critical aspect of the installation process of this. These rods are precision machined, so they sit concentric with the bore of the pistol, and that the shim should sit concentric to the OD of the rod or the ID of the shim with about a thou worth of movement on it. And the reason that this is important is because these shims go between the face of the barrel and the backside of the comp. With that done, you can now take your compensator and thread it on again. Remember, we're trying to achieve a position like so. So I just threaded this on by hand, and I'm cranking it by hand, and I'm unable to get this to rotate freely by hand, so the lower portion of the spring box geometry on the compensator lines up with the spring box geometry on the slide. So right now I would call this an ideal candidate for a final installation. Alright guys, the next step of the installation process is using and applying some of the Loctite Red. As you can see here, I've applied a small amount, and generally when we do the installation of the Loctite, we'll only do it on a third of the threads. It doesn't need to be completely soaked in Loctite Red. So what you can do is, if you have a difficult time getting a small dollop or drip of Loctite out of the vial, a Q-tip would work fine, or even just a small piece of a stick or something. You stick it into the vial, you get the Loctite on the thread, covering one side of the threads. Like I said, it's not critical to cover all the threads completely around a 360-degree manner. But once the Loctite's installed on there, the alignment rod is still in here, as well as the shim stack that are required to get my proper alignment. In this case, it was 1/10,000th shim. With the comp installed in your Mushi mounting block, I am going to hand thread the compensator onto the pistol barrel, making sure that the alignment rod is still seated properly. Like I said before, it's critical that this alignment rod be used during the installation process, because this is keeping the shim from walking out on the face of the barrel right now. With it snugged down by hand, we simply return back to our vise, clamping the Mushi mounting block in it, pulling the pistol slide down, letting it sag. We then take our adjustable wrench on the starboard or port side of the barrel, 3 or 9 o'clock position, and we are simply going to apply pressure until we achieve what is to be seen as a desired fit. And the desired fit is going to be determined by the spring box geometry on the 365 JTTC lining up with the spring box geometry on the 365 slide. So after my initial installation right now, this looks pretty good. The way that we can really confirm that is we're going to take our recoil spring and we're going to put the recoil spring back in the barrel and the slide. And the reason for this is what we've now done is we've put the barrel under spring tension in relation to the slide. And when we pop the slide off, we can see that we have a nice uniform fit here. Once this is achieved, you can pull out your alignment rod, and then we'll put it on the frame of the pistol, and we'll do just a secondary confirmation. Now that we've conducted the preliminary installation process, we need to do the secondary confirmation, which is mounting the complete installed PMM P365 JTTC barrel and comp package and your slide back onto the frame of your P365. As you can see in the video, this is an empty gun. It is not loaded. Okay? I'm going to send the pistol into battery, and then I want to do a visual confirmation of the spring box geometry and where it sits in relation to the dust cover. We do not want to have any contact on the dust cover of the frame of the pistol in relation to the spring box geometry of the P365 JTTC. Now, if it touches, is that going to be an issue? Absolutely not. It's not going to be an issue. This is utilizing Icarus precision frame, and it's captured inside the dust cover. So for all intents and purposes, this could come loose and it's still going to function inside here. But over a long enough period of time, you'll start to see degradation in the frame because this frame is aluminum, the comp is steel. So I do a visual confirmation, and for the camera, if you guys can see in there, the spring box is sitting very close to center line inside the dust cover. Like I said, if you have a slight